Howdy YouTube. I just bought a really cheap Chicago electric welder from Harbor Freight on a parking lot sale. And you know, I didn't need this welder. I've got 6 or 7 welding machines in there, but a lot of them are inverter welders, and some of them are old transformer welders. I've got an old Hobart dial arc that's too heavy to move, and I've got an old Tombstone Lincoln that's too heavy to be carrying around. I want something I'd carry and hook to a generator and not worry about it hurting it. These are transformer based machines. They're not inverter machines, so I'm not going to be worried about hurting it running it off a small cheap generator. And I've got some ideas for this thing. One, I'm going to extend the ground lead. 2, I'm going to try to put a longer MIG gun on it, and I've really got a real good idea about how I'm going to do that, as well as I got some spare parts that I'll show you in a minute. But I got this thing really cheap. I got it for $75 on the parking lot sale. It was an open box return. I don't know. We're going to see what all's left in there, see if it's actually been used. And you know, my plan is to put a plug on my cheap generator where I can plug this right into it and run it on 220 volts, and you know, be able to go off up on the hill and stitch something together, work on fence post or whatever, and not be worried about the generator damaging one of my more expensive welders. For 75 bucks, I couldn't pass it up. Got all kinds of ideas in my head too, but anyway, let's open it up and see what all they actually left in the box. I suspect somebody bought this and returned it. I mean, they get a lot of that. Well, the little hood for the face shield's in there, so the little brush is in there. This may not have been used. Oh, it's a heavy beast. Non-inverter makes them heavy. I believe somebody's plugged it in and tried it just a minute. Looking at that tip. They didn't try it much, I'll say that. There's a book. We don't really need that. There's that cheap face shield. It's a joke. It'd be good for somebody standing there watching you, I guess. The lens out of it would be good for one of my old hoods. I don't know. I've never actually had one of these in my possession. Don't think I'll be having a use for that. Anyway, let's see what all's with it. See if the wire is with it, and if all the extra tips and stuff that's supposed to be with it are in it. Well, the wire's in it, and there's very little going off of it. It's got the little serrated drive wheel. I believe they have the polarity hooked up backwards. I'll have to check that, but maybe that small one is the one going to the MIG gun. We'll find out. I'm sure this drive roller assembly's all okay. Everything looks good there, except for they had it way too tight. And you can hook gas to this, and I won't be doing that because it's my understanding it doesn't have a relay in it. It opens a valve manually in the gun, so you might be a little delayed about getting gas there just as soon as you want to. Let me plug this in. See if I got enough cord to reach my. Move this box out of the way. See if I got enough cord to reach just inside my shop door here. It's going to be close. Yeah, I like about a foot. I'm going to have to move some junk off of this table. I'm going to have to scoot it back. Maybe it'll reach now. Still won't reach. I'm gonna have to almost hang it off the table. Okay, it's plugged in. Let's see if it comes on. Hey, that's cool, it comes on. Got it on max and on 2 they do. That's all the way maxed out. I'm gonna run it on max and on 1. Set the wire speed around 5. I got some old scrap metal here. I want to make sure this machine works before I go taking it apart and monkeying with it. Because I do have a 5-day period I can return it, and I just bought it today. So if something's real messed up about it, super messed up, something that I don't want to bother with fixing, I can take it back. But I don't suspect there's anything wrong with it. It feeds wire. Let me grab a helmet and maybe a glove, and I'll be right back. Keep in mind, I just guessed it, the tension on this drive roller, but I know for sure they had it too tight. Y'all wouldn't know it looking at it, but it's about 50 degrees out here. My hood may fog up, may not be able to do nothing. I've got a cheater in my hood nowadays, so I want to tell y'all, the folks at Harbor Freight is really good to me. I buy a whole lot of stuff in there, and I return very little, and they know that. Especially, you know, open box and parking lot sale stuff. Usually I'd figure out what's going on with it and what's wrong. And usually it's from something simple to somebody opened the box and stole some parts out of it, to like the extra chips are missing out of this, but out of this box. But it's from something like that to sometimes somebody just buys a generator or something in there, and they treat it like a piece of rental equipment, and then they even do welders that way. They do their little job, and then they return it to Harbor Freight and tell them it's got issues, and they just return it, and there's nothing wrong with it. They just used it a little bit. Now, I'll tell you, I'm spoiled to MIG. I started out on stick. I stick welded for about 35 years. About 15 years ago, I got a Hobart 250 Beta MIG. Kind of spoiled to MIG. I'm going to be running Flux core here, and I'm going to tell you something. I've never in my life burned any Flux core. I've always had a negative opinion of it. But working outside and in the wind and stuff like that, right now I have to stick weld, and I really don't have anything small enough to be portable. If I can make this machine acceptable and make it weld acceptable, I can carry my little generator up on the property and do things on the back of the property, on the back of the 30 acres here that, you know, normally I couldn't do, or wouldn't want to do, because I don't want to run, like I said, I don't want to run my good inverter welders off of a cheap generator. So we're going to see how this welds and check it out a little bit, and then I'm going to show you my spare parts. That's not too bad. I believe it's a little hotter than it needs to be. I'm going to turn it down to minimum in 2. We're going to try that again. I still believe that's a little hot. Turn the wire speed down. That's when you really wish you had a variable voltage control instead of just 4 presets. Let me grab a chipping hammer and a brush and see just how horrible that looks. I'll tell you what, I won't have no use for it in the future probably. I don't even know where I'll put it now. I'm having trouble finding my brush, folks. It's the story of my life. Alright, thanks for bearing with me. I don't expect this to look very good. Like I said, this is my first flux core weld ever, and I've been welding a long time. I just hadn't had a good opinion of it, but I know it is a process that works. That's also that cheap Harbor Freight wire, that flux core wire that comes with it. Now I run that Vulcan wire. I run the Vulcan 023 and 030 solid wire with gas in my Hobart, and I love it. It's good wire. I don't know about this. I may have to switch to some Miller wire or something for flux core. Let's see. For playing with the settings, I'm going to say that's not real horrible. Got some undercut going on here. This piece is actually bent and there's a gap under there, but you know, I can make that work. After I finally turned it way down, in fact, maybe a little too low, I got a pretty good little well right there. Not bad. I'm going to weld a little bit more on the back side of this. Just because I can. I mean, that's what I cleaned it up for, and it's preheated a little bit now. I might as well see what it does. I'm going to turn that wire feed up between 4 and 5. I think that'll be perfect. Glasses off. it's too cold, gonna have to go max and 1. It's gonna be about the only choice. I like it don't stay hot when you let off the trigger like some of the old ones. I know that's been a thing. Yeah, I'm still welding a gap here, but you can see there you definitely stick metal together with that. This is where I needed to turn it up. That right there is about right. That's on max and number 1, so that's welding on number 3 with a 4.5 wire speed. That's probably still not dialed in perfect. I might need to turn that knob down, tighten it up just a little bit on that feeder, but I'd work with that. That's look at the penetration. I mean, you either get too much or not enough penetration with this machine. I might have to work on that and put me some kind of other rheostat in there where I can get in between those 4 settings. But let me show you what else I've got. I'll turn it off. Get all this stuff out of the way. Okay. I also bought this little 125 110 volt machine. Just runs off 110 120 volt only, because I got this thing for like $37.50, you know, because it's on parking lot sale, and I got it for parts, and I'll show you what I mean. One, I'm going to try to take this MIG gun and use this MIG cable to extend that other one. And I'm sure going to use the ground cable to extend the other one. There won't be no problem with that at all. That'll make it about right. That'll give me about, I don't know, about 12 feet. That'll be entirely usable. And we unplug this other machine. I've got a lot more spare parts here than what y'all realize. Okay. Get y'all off the tripod. Okay, I'm going to show you inside the 220 unit here, the MiG 170. Look at that. Look at that drive roller assembly. Look it over really good. Okay. All right, now look this drive roller assembly over really good. It's identical. They're just alike. They're plastic. They say they're going to break eventually, but you know what? I've seen people with these machines 15 years old, and I ain't ever seen one of them broke. But I've got spare parts. You know, I got a roll of wire with this. I got the MIG gun assembly. I got the ground lead. I'm thinking about something else with this machine, so I might not sacrifice the ground lead. I may need it on here. I'm thinking about making a stick machine out of this. And that'll be a future video, but I'm really thinking about, after I take the drive roller assembly off of it and the MIG gun off of it, maybe trying to convert this to a stick welder, to a 110 AC stick welder, because it's a transformer machine. All it is a power unit, you know, and it's going to have a good variable voltage there, amperage, variable amperage, instead of just having minimum and maximum. I'll probably try to wire the amperage into this control, or I might pull this control out and put it in that machine to control my amperage. I don't know that that'll work for sure, but I suspect it will, and I know there's a lot of other parts in this machine that'll fit that other one. But I guarantee you this drive roller assembly is going to be the same. If you had to order that from Harbor Freight, from their parts department, that would probably exceed the $37.50 that I paid for this little machine on the parking lot sale. So Harbor Freight, you ain't getting this one back for sure. It's parts. I mean, basically there's a $14 roll of wire in there maybe, and you know, an extra drive roller assembly and a MIG gun for me, and I suspect this MIG gun has the capability of flowing gas if it's hooked to this machine. I suspect they don't make more than one version of this lead. I may be wrong. We'll get into this in another video. But one way or another, this little machine is going to pay off for parts. If nothing else, it's going to pay off for parts for other machines that I've got around here. And, you know, switches and whatnot. You know, there's always something there. I think I'll stop this video right now. And, you know, I'm just going to label this video ideas about the Chicago MiG 170. And I think I'm going to plug this little machine in, because I've never welded with one of these. And everybody says they're terrible, but I'm going to move that machine out of the way. And I'm going to plug this little machine in, and I'm going to make another video welding with this 125 flux core machine. And I'm told the 90 and the 125 they're identical. That's what I'm told. And they're both just AC current, you know. You're welding with AC current. And I welded stick AC with a tombstone for a long time. But with wire, I understand it's quite annoying, and it sounds like it would be. So I'm going to end this video, and we're going to try that. See you soon. Like and subscribe. Thank you.